What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Chasing Scratch. I'm your guy, Uncle Church. Guys, today I am bringing you a video to discuss the new rule changes on the PGA Tour and how they may or may not affect the average golfer like us. Let's get into it. Guys, the 2026 season is upon us, guys. We have so much already going on. Scotty Scheffler got a win yesterday. And every year there are tons of rule changes that come into play. Now, this year there are 5 main rule changes. There's another couple that really don't affect anybody, especially the average golfer, such as the upcoming rollback of the golf ball, a little bit of extra wiggle room around the green, around objects, but that really doesn't come into effect a whole lot. The 5 main ones we will be covering today, we will jump right into those. So these rules come from the USGA and the R&A and have already been seen put in place in several competitions around the country and around the globe. So they are going to be enforced and they will make the game so much easier to determine if and when certain things come up. You don't have to call a marshal or someone from way across the course to come make a ruling that slows everybody down and pisses the guys off behind you, okay? Everybody can kind of just take that, and they're so much simpler to determine if you do or do not get relief. Guys, so let's go through one by one and let you guys know how it may or may not affect the average golfers, not only in casual play, but in play in tournaments, leagues, and so on and so forth. First rule change we have is accidentally moving your ball. In the past, if you accidentally, knowingly or unknowingly, hence accidentally, moved your ball and you still played it from the incorrect spot, you could receive a 2-stroke penalty. This came into play in 2020 with John Rahm, and so many other times that this has happened that you just don't realize. The ball oscillates a little and you don't replace it knowingly or unknowingly, then you're hit with that severe penalty. We don't have someone able to determine every little centimeter a ball moves at all times. It is completely unfair to penalize the player so harshly and potentially cost them hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, because they just didn't see it move. So now, the new rule change this year. If you move your ball knowingly or unknowingly and somehow are able to still happen to play it from the spot that is incorrect, it is now a 1-shot penalty instead of 2. Huge. This comes in huge. Now, there will still be some controversy, I'm sure, here and there, and we can't help that. There will still be some, caveats, if you will. I don't even know if that's the right word. That's probably stupid. So, what this means for the average golfer. This one, pretty self-explanatory. Honestly, there's not a whole lot of times out there that us on the average golfer for the weekend round or whatever, that we're even going to penalize ourselves or anybody else is going to penalize ourselves. How many times have you played the ball and you set the club down behind the ball and you know it moved and you just, okay, I mean, we're not professionals here. Let's hit it. But in tournaments and league play, if you have a stickler for the rules standing right over you and they see that ball move, and they did not say anything, and you still hit it, now it's just a 1-stroke penalty instead of 2. So that's how it affects the average golfer. On to number 2. This one is the biggest one, and I think there are a lot of misconceptions to this so far because I've heard people say that they think it means one thing and it doesn't. The embedded ball in someone else's pitch mark. In the past, you could get relief if the ball was in your own pitch mark. But if a ball bounced into unrepaired ground from a previous golfer's pitch mark in the fairway or anywhere else, you had to play it as it lies. Now, the rule change now is you now get relief from someone else's pitch mark, not just your own. So in all these soft conditions, now, these soft courses that water too much, my home course is typically pretty wet. fantastic course, but it's typically a little wet. So in tournament play, now we don't play the ball down anyways. We typically play preferred lies, as many people do, because we are not professionals and our courses are not groomed to the point that these PGA pros are playing on. So we have typically played the preferred lies anyway, and inside the grip on the putter. So it's not going to really affect a whole lot there. But again, in tournament play or league play on a soft course, if the ball jumps into anyone's pitch mark, not just your own, you get free relief. That is huge. Now, the misconception with this is I've heard a lot of people say that they think this applies to divots. This does not apply to divots yet. But this is a start to that, in that direction that we all know that this needs to be fixed. Divots should not penalize golfers in the fairway. In the rough, absolutely, you can't move it. But in the fairway, if you hit the ball in someone else's divot, you should get free relief. But that's not what this video is about, so I digress. So, how does it affect the average golfer? I think I just said that. In your regular play, it's typically play it, preferred lies anyways. But in tournament and leagues, you will get relief from someone else's pitch mark. Rule number 3 we're going to discuss: damaged clubs. In the past, the rule was if you damaged a club in play, you had to keep using that club, or you weren't allowed to replace it except for in very specific circumstances. That is the old rule. The new rule is if a club is damaged under normal play, say you hit a root, say you hit a tree in your follow through, snap the club, you now can replace that club. Now, that does not apply if you snap your club over your knee or throw your club at your cart and it snaps in half. You cannot replace it then. So there's a little bit of a little gray area there. I'm sure there could come some stuff up. Well, I was tossing it over and it snapped. Now, how does this affect the average golfer? I don't really think that it does in normal everyday play, because who has extra clubs just to run and get in their car? And, well, I do. Okay, the average person that doesn't have tons of clubs in their car, they can't run up and just replace that club mid-round. So it really doesn't affect that. Now, tournaments and league play that you have access to someone that could run up and get you a club or something of that nature. Say you damaged your sand wedge. Everybody loves their sand wedge. If you damage your sand wedge and on the cart path or whatever, now you can replace that mid-tournament, mid-whatever, in the middle of the round. So that could come in huge. Number 4, to me, is another really big one. Preferred lies are now more restricted. Now, preferred lies come into play when there are very wet conditions. Most people call it lift, clean, and place. You can lift the ball up, clean it, and place it within one club length, which is 43 inches. It's a typical driver. 43 inches is the old rule of what you could move it. You can change so much within 3 3/4 feet, whatever that is. I'm terrible at math. You can change a lie, you can change a stance, you can change so much with 43 inches. And the tour seen that. They were like, that's not the spirit of the rule. The spirit of the rule is it's not fair to have to play in super wet conditions and at least not get to clean your ball and put it somewhere where you can at least have a really fair shot. So, what did they do? They changed it to 11 inches. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how they're going to measure this, if every player is going to have a stick in their bag for 11 inches. 11 inches is the length of a standard scorecard. So it is going from a club length to a scorecard length. Again, I don't know who's going to measure this or how they're going to determine it. I don't know. Again, I don't know how this affects the everyday golfer just on the weekend rounds. Because like I said, most of us play preferred lies anyways because we don't play on pristine courses as the tour does. Now, tournament play, league play, that does change a lot because again, you can change your stance, the quality of shot that you have all the way around, not just the lie. You can change everything, how your feet are. You can get a ball above your feet to a ball below your feet or level within 43 inches. 11 inches, it's a little tougher to do. So that's how it affects the weekend or the everyday golfer. So from now on, make sure you're carrying an 11-inch scorecard in your bag so that you know how to measure your preferred lies. Number 5, another big one in my opinion, and that is internal out of bounds. Now, what is internal out of bounds, first of all? Most people are like, Uncle Church, what is internal out of bounds? What's that? What's the difference between it and a regular out of bounds? Internal out of bounds is typically a local rule that is put into play if a course is trying to keep you from playing certain lines, such as if they don't want you playing up the 9th hole when you're playing number 10 and it's right beside each other. If they don't want you playing that for safety reasons, or just that's not the way that the hole was meant to be played. A lot of courses put those local rules in there. Now, typically there was a 2-shot penalty no matter when you hit that ball in the internal out of bounds. Going forward, it's only a 2-stroke penalty if you hit it in the internal out of bounds off the tee, okay? If you hit it in the internal bounds on any other shot from the fairway, rough, whatever, if you hit it in the internal out of bounds, it's only a 1-stroke penalty. So it plays as though it's a hazard. So that is really huge. That's going to come into play more than you think. Because we have, at my course, we have several internal out of bounds. On our 18th tee, our driving range is out of bounds now. Well, it is now. We made it a few years ago that our driving range along the 18th green is out of bounds. Well, used to that was a 2-stroke penalty. Now it's a 1. Same thing. We have a couple of holes that for safety reasons we can't drive it a certain way. On number 10, we weren't supposed to start it right of a tree, so on and so forth. Now that internal out of bounds is only a 2-stroke penalty off the tee. Gonna come into play more than you think. A lot of people think, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal, more than you think, and you will see it a lot on tour. So that is pretty much the end of the rules that are really going to affect the everyday golfer. Now, what are the positives of this? The positives, less harsh penalties. That is huge. There are a lot of penalties out there that are completely unfair. A lot of these had unfair penalties, so that's going to dial that back a little bit, okay? The other thing it's going to do, it's going to increase pace of play, because you're not going to have the marshals coming from way across the course to make a stupid ruling just to make sure that you're within the rules. Now, any pitch mark, take it out. There's no question. You don't have to determine, is it yours? Is it mine? Whose is it? Is it Billy Bob's? We don't know. Well, from now on, you get relief, okay? It's going to reduce controversial penalties. Make the rules easier for everyone, not just the pros, but the everyday golfers. It's going to make it easier for them to understand, because there are so many rules, get so convoluted. You're like, is that out of bounds? Is that a ladder hazard? Is that blah, 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 blah. I didn't make these rules. They're trying to make it a little easier, which I always welcome. So guys, thank you for joining in. If you have any questions or thoughts about these rule changes, please leave them in the comments below. What do you think? Are they fair? Are they unfair? Thank you guys for commenting. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification so that you know every time Uncle Church goes live to bring you more great information like this. We'll see you next time.